Hello and welcome back to Ebenezer Cottage Garden. In today's video, I'll be visiting the garden centre and repotting some cacti and succulents. It's always tempting to pick up one or two of these, and it's so nice to see some colour out in the garden centres. But here's what I'm really after, some potting grit to make my potting mix for my cacti. But there's just one more stop before home, a visit to Grandad's garden. Well, I'm afraid these poor little things have been a bit neglected and left in these pots for 2 years, so it's definitely time to move them on. I'm going to move them on into slightly bigger pots, and I'm also going to show you the potting mix that I'm going to make for them. Here I'm going for a 50-50 mix of grit and compost, though you could also use sand or perlite. Just make sure that whichever medium you choose, it's mixed in well. We're going for good drainage here. The most important piece of advice I can give you here is a good set of gloves that are also nimble enough that you can work. You really don't want any of these spines in your fingers. Just make sure you get the potting mix right down the edges. In hindsight, it would have been handy to have something like a little stick I could just poke it down with. And this is just to make it look pretty, but a top dressing of grit just neatens things up. And there it is, a little bit more room to grow and some nutrients for the year ahead. I've still got some of that potting mix left, and I'm thinking that maybe I could do some gooseberry cuttings. You want to do this when your gooseberries are dormant. This has to be the spikiest episode of Ebenezer Cottage Garden. a really interesting development this week was that I got some seeds through the post from Gardening with Kay. If you haven't seen her channel, go over and see it. She's definitely the real deal and an excellent cook as well. But she sent me something called a chayote, which I'd never really heard of before, apart from seeing it in one of her videos, and also some water spinach and something called a chocha, which sounds interesting. So these are going to be some really interesting varieties to grow this year. But it just shows that by sharing seeds with your friends, you might get a few things that you would have otherwise not thought of purchasing. So I think it's time to face reality, get out here and start thinking about the weeds. They're starting to come through now, and I also think the grass is going to need its first cut soon too. So I'm going to crack on with these for the rest of the afternoon, but I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you have, please do like and subscribe, and perhaps I'll see you next time.